Vienas, vienas.
Hello, everyone. I would like to ask you to take your seats or find a seat. I know there's quite a lot of us today here, and maybe we should get, a bit more cozy. Is there anyone still standing? Yeah, we have a couple of minutes to wait until everyone will gather up. We are a bit out of capacity, which is a good sign. The other good sign is that we will have to stay a bit more cozier. So sorry for any inconvenience, but yeah, keep on talking. That's it. Hello, hello. Ooh. Everyone? Hi, everyone, once again. So just to introduce myself, I'm Ruta. I work for Invest Lithuania for Global Business Services Group. And I'll try to entertain you today, just in between the speeches. So first of all, I would really thank you for everyone making your time and coming over today. We really appreciate you, taking the walk or a drive here. RPA is one of the topics that is constantly on the tongue tips, how it's going to disrupt, especially business services industry. So we decided to embrace it. And with no further ado, I would like to invite Yekaterina Royaka, our Vice Minister for Economy and Innovation, to tell her views on how Lithuania is going to deal with RPA.
Thank you very much. So yeah, everybody is having this nice sheet. So lots of information about the IPA. That is what is going on in Lithuania. But dear ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, Lithuania was one of the first countries in the European Union who introduced national AI strategy. And it's not the coincidence, because these smaller countries like us, we cannot compete with the traditional industries, not with Germany, not with France. And it's very normal that we need to transform them drastically. And this transformation are getting along with the new modern technologies. So automation, process automations, artificial intelligence, it's the field that we actually have comparative advantage compared to other European countries. And not only the European countries, but all the world is starting from scratch. And here we are and making our step forwards. So it's also very normal and very natural for us because as many countries in European Union, we are facing aging challenges. With aging challenges, labor shortages, we definitely need to be different, and our labor market should be different. We want to see our talents to be well paid off, and that means that we need higher value-added jobs with better salaries. And here, the automation process actually gives us these opportunities. Because many, the OECD study tells us that mostly 3/4 of Lithuanian jobs are at risk for automation. That means 3/4 of all the Lithuanian jobs could benefit from automation process, relying on the better salaries afterwards, but we need reskilling, we need upskilling. And that's the main point of interest from the governmental point of view. We need to put more attention on that. And that creates more and more initiatives. I'm very happy to be here today to see this beautiful community, lots of city places. And regarding the communities, it's again very good that Lithuania and Vilnius and Kaunas, we are among the youngest cities in European Union. We're close to Copenhagen by the youngest population, and it's very rivalry. So we definitely have lots of advantages standing in this point, and we need to exploit them further to make profit from them. So again, we have a lot of talents. Government also puts a lot of attention to create more talents, and we put more financing for IT specialists. A number of IT graduates is increasing every year, but at least at 1/5. We also have a lot of support programs for the businesses to be more innovative, because we cannot go further with a higher growth rate without innovative business. And despite roughly 47% of businesses already have innovation integrated in their routine everyday business, we need to be even stronger in that size. So by that, I believe that we have very bright future talking about IPA, and that's definitely, we're having best examples, success stories, and success stories create more success stories. So I hope after this cycle of series of discussions and series of meetings, we will have even more success stories, and everybody will benefit from that. So with that, I wish you very interesting discussions, very interesting, and getting more information about that, and good luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ekaterina, for a wonderful word. Now I would also like to tell you that if you would like to send greetings to friends and family, you really can, because you are being filmed, and we have a photographer with us here as well. And I would like to invite our first speaker, Prabhu from Cognizant, which will tell you more about RPA and how to start that journey at your organizations.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Very happy to meet you all here, and very happy and delighted to have such a young and active crowd. And that's one very big reason where I'm sure automation is going to kick off in a big way here. So I'm here to share my experiences about what process automation is all about, how you can benefit from it, how many of our other customers have benefited from it, so that you can put that to good use. So to introduce myself, I have been in the IT industry for about 19 years, and I have been involved with process automation for at least 5 years now. So that way, it was a big transformation, shifting from programming in your Java and .NET to process automation solutions. And as a company at Cognizant, as a company at Cognizant, we have so far automated about 3,000 processes, and I'm talking about somewhere around 10,000 digital workers. I'll talk about what these digital workers are as we move on. And so that way, we have been doing it a while now, and we have seen a lot of value from doing this, and that's the experience I'm here to share about. Okay, so first let's start with why do we need automation? We all love automation. How many of you before coming here to this event would have set an out of office reply on your Outlook, right? How many of you went to the bank this morning just to dip your card and then get some cash, right? Or how many of you used a vending machine to get a ticket to come here? So in all of those cases, knowingly or unknowingly, you have been using bots. And the biggest difference is those bots are the ones that are capable of doing only rule-based work, where you dip your card, enter your ATM PIN number, and then indicate whether we want to withdraw money or get a statement, and then you're done, right? So very similar to that, in the work that we do on a daily basis, there is a lot of work that we can call as rule-based, which we all hate. We all hate doing it because it's the same thing that we do over and over and over again. Consider processing a student loan, a mortgage, or processing a claim, anything and everything. So though we have a lot of different IT systems to accomplish those tasks, you still have to go across several systems one after another to get those done, right? Or you might get these data in multiple sources. For example, think about the faxes that you're getting, or emails that you're getting, or printed statements that you're getting. So you will have to understand and process each of these statements manually. Or think about the long tail of exceptions where your systems cannot process those and you have to manually do each of those activities one by one. So for each of these is where your process automation, machine learning, artificial intelligence, all of them come into play, primarily with the intent of how do I make the work more easier, more effective, so that we as humans can focus on things that are of more value. And how do we do that? We will talk about that in the subsequent sections. So process automation, like I just said a little while ago, it's very, very simple if you try to relate it back to the ATM example. So the distinguishing factors is that you are going to have software solutions that can mimic everything that you do. For example, you have to process an invoice that is being sent by a vendor. What do? You open your applications, you open up the invoice, you look at what is the value that is given in the invoice, what are the various line items in the invoice, you compare that with a purchase order, you compare that with a goods receipt, and then you approve that invoice. So very similar to that, any process that you take, you follow a bunch of rules. So when the work that you do is about mimicking actions on the system, where you have to do dealing with a lot of different applications, that's the best and the brightest use of process automation. And just because we are trying to deal with the presentation layer, meaning the user interface, be it a web application, a mainframe application, or an SAP or a Salesforce, any application where you have to work on the presentation layer, you can use process automation. You can think of it as a simple service that is running on your machine. It could be a laptop, it could be a desktop, it could be a virtual machine, and all that the software is doing is executing the actions that you have scripted in the system. And of course, like I said, like an ATM, we are talking only about rule-based actions. The moment you shift beyond the rule-based territory is when you need machine learning and artificial intelligence solutions. And as a person who is doing these processes on a daily basis, if you have a question of, okay, how do I really know if the processes that I'm working with are really good candidates for automation? And the right-hand side of the slide has those answers. So as long as you're dealing with structured data, think of Excel sheets, think of PDF documents, Word documents, where the information is coming to you in a certain format, where there is no probability, it is very, very deterministic. I know that how many ever times I execute, I know these are the steps that I have to follow, I know this is the end result. So those are good candidates for processes that are good for robotic process automation. Think of these kind of process where you're doing it over and over again, you tend to make mistakes. We are all humans. We do those mistakes when the work is very repetitive, very monotonous. Those are good candidates. where you have swivel chair operations, where you enter data in one system and then you have to go to another system and key in the same data, or where your transaction volumes are very high. You have 5,000 transactions on a Monday, 300 transactions on a Tuesday, where you require more people to work on a Monday on those processes and small number of people on a Tuesday to work on those same processes. These are all good examples where you can apply robotic process automation, but the fundamental rule is your inputs have to be structured and the work that you're doing has to be rule-based. That is the only and fundamental criteria for robotic process automation. Now, have customers been using this? Like I said just a little while ago, there are about 10,000 bots that we have. And here are several different examples of how robotics has been used. Be it agility or efficiency of the work that is being done, improving the efficiency with which work is being done, and most fundamentally, liberating employees, right? Nobody wants to do the kind of boring work anymore. We all want to find opportunities to automate things that are no more, they don't require really your thinking or applying your brains, where you just apply rules, right? So that way, these are some examples of automations that have been done. And when you look at the work that you're doing holistically, that is when you can think of achieving these kind of outcomes. Be it in terms of reducing the amount of interest that you're paying on your invoices. For example, you process invoices from this particular customer was processing invoices from about 500 different vendors. And so naturally, when they have so many different invoices, they were a retailer, they were naturally delaying the payments of those invoices. So when you delay payments, your vendors are unhappy, you have to pay interest. So that's when we wanted to automate. So when you're automating that, the impact of that was the interest that we had to pay on those delayed invoices was reduced. Similarly, think about claims, right? Where customers are processing these healthcare claims, and when you delay a healthcare claim, people are going to file duplicate claims. So your backlog of claims keeps increasing. So when you figure out how automation can help, this is one case where we were able to reduce the amount of inventory on claims. So like this, there are several examples, be it customer onboarding or be it in an oil well, the checklist that you have to apply before they can do drilling. So there are tons and tons of examples that you can think of where all the rule-based work that we're doing can be automated. Now, if your question is, what if the work that I'm doing is not always rule-based? That is where machine learning and artificial intelligence comes into play. But robotics is your ramp. Once you start with robotics is when you get all of the data. And once you have data, you can apply and create models on top of it. And then you can start thinking of examples like Netflix and Amazon, where when you buy a product, you have suggestions on what other customers are buying. When you see a movie, you have suggestions on what other movies you can watch. So there it is a lot of probability that comes into place. It is no more rule-based. That is where you go beyond the territory of RPA and you start applying smart intake solutions, machine learning solutions, and analytics. Now, though I have said a lot about process automation and then trying to compare it with your ATMs and then ticket vending machines, it requires a lot of change management thinking, because while it is easy as a concept to understand, it requires a good amount of change management within organizations. What do I mean by change management? You definitely, the left-hand side, you see, you get a lot of flexibility. Tomorrow you want 50 robots, you can stand up 50 robots. With cloud and virtual machines, it's very easy to spin up new bots. You can continuously train them. For example, you're using an application. Tomorrow there is going to be a change to the application. We get trained on what are the changes that have happened to the application. So very similar to that, you can train bots on those changes. They don't worry about situational context, be it rain or shine or snow. The bots are going to do their work just like how they do every day. And they are your trusted partner. They are always available, be it weekend or weekday. You don't really have to wait for them. They will do that task at the time at which they're supposed to. And of course, they will give you a good failover as long as we have planned for it. Now, these are the advantages, but what is the change management aspect to it? Now, speaking of identity management, so you all have IDs that are given to you by your employers. So many companies cannot even think of having an ID for a person who is not a human being. So now, like human workers, we have digital workers. So you'll have to start thinking about how do you identify these bots? How do they access the various applications? How do they access the various folders within a particular SharePoint site or any other site? So you have to come up with a digital worker policy where bots have policies similar to you and I, right? And then you also have to think about how do you control access for these bots to the various applications that you're using, right? And how do you, for example, I do an activity, I'm always there available if somebody is conducting an audit. But when there is a bot that is doing an activity, you need to make sure that the transactions, the rules that are applied by the bot in order to complete that process are audited, right? So very similarly, when you are using bots, you want to make sure that you don't have email addresses and phone numbers and credit card numbers being copied and then misused. So you'll have to prevent data leakage when you're using bots. And lastly, of course, you need to plan for business continuity so that when your bots are not available, meaning the underlying systems are not available, how do you really get out of that situation? So there is a lot of change management that we'll have to think about, but conceptually, it is very, very simple. So as long as you are trying to understand the concept, which is rule-based, deterministic, structured input processes, and thinking of what business outcomes that you want to achieve, which could be complying to SLAs, liberating employees, reducing risk, anything and everything that you can think of, and apply the right level of change management, you can be very successful in your automation program. And that's all I had. I'll be right around here, so any questions that any of you have, I'll be very glad to answer.
So would anyone have any questions? Very Lithuanian auditorium. So I then would like to invite Gediminas and Justina from Justina from Ignitus Group, which will tell more about their RPA journey.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Hi for everybody. For now, I will be by myself. I will invite Justina shortly after 5 minutes. I want to share our experience of RPA journey. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be part of it. I'm really happy that Invest Lithuania started this initiative of RPA meetup. I really agree with Ekaterina that she mentioned that we can't compete with those Western countries in terms of resources in the technology, but we can compete with them in terms of speed and in terms of sharing the knowledge. So I'm happy to be here and to share that experience, and I will share in the strategic level from our digital transformation program initiative and also from our RPA scale what are the lessons learned, because it's not all roses and butterflies, unfortunately, but you need to start that automation journey because it's inevitable. So my name is Gediminas Buivydas. I'm head of RPA and Digitization at Ignitis Group, and you could wonder what this company is about. So maybe most of you formally know is as Lithuania Energy or Lietuvos Energia. We rebranded a few weeks ago. And does this work? Oh, it is great. Yeah, so our core activities is the production of electricity, then all the renewables, energy from renewables, the commercial organization of the electricity, gas, and all other energy-related stuff, and the distribution, Energijos skirstymo operatorius ESO is the distribution of electricity and gas. And also we have in our group service activities is the Ignitis Group. It's the holding company in which I'm working, and also we have our internal shared service center. So at the moment we have 2 federated teams. One is located here in our internal shared service center, another is located in our energy distribution operator ESO. Justina, shortly after me, will come here and share the experience from ESO perspective more in depth. And as I mentioned, I will be quick and share just key thoughts. The RPA initiative was one of the part of our digital transformation program. And with that, we stated that we want to look at various technologies and test it, how we can adopt it to our businesses, to business processes. And what we learned that you need to have the design thinking mindset. What do I mean by that? You need to understand what is the real business problem, and then look at the technology side and then understand what technology to use. What we did at first, we scouted for technologies. We then came back to the business. We said that, look, you're doing that everything wrong. The rest of the world works with the newest technologies, and we got banned from their side. So, but in that perspective, the chicken and egg dilemma occurs, because how the businesses could know what are the potential of those technologies if they're not aware of what those technologies could do. So our lesson learned was that you have to educate people, educate organizations, what those technologies are capable of, and then they will raise the awareness of the technologies, possibilities, and gains from those businesses will arise. And that's our lesson learned, how you can start those digital initiatives. But you all came here because of RPA. So now we are in progress of scaling. We had an idea about RPA in 2017, and in 2018 was the pilot year. So after last year, we had about 16 processes automated, in total released back to the business 8 FTEs. And now we are planning in this year to have, in the end of the 2019, sorry, that's my mistake, we had more than 100 processes automated, and currently we have 70 processes automated and 40 FTEs released back to the business. So what are those key lessons learned? Fast and in terms of time and ambitious goal, it is good because you change your mindset. You look at those things very differently. It's not like you are just increasing your performance by 10%, by 20%. When it's 10 times fold, it's different thinking. But those ambitious goals also, if they're not real, could demotivate the team. So there is pros and cons of that. In other side, because you are saying that you are scaling, and the teams, I'm talking now about RPA teams, because they see what the value they bring to the business, there's a motivation to work with that. We hired many people who worked for other companies, but those companies didn't see the potential of automation in general, and those people were demotivated. Also, it is very important that business units for whom you going and automate processes, that they are motivated enough to be effective. Because if they are not, then you can't do anything. You can educate them, but if there is no intention from their side, it's pretty hard to make some automation in their side. Also, what I mentioned before, you have to educate them, and by education, you will see that in the organization there are a lot of, as I call it, RPA champions or other people in the organization who are really going and spreading the good news about the RPA and why it is good. So you have to invest in the organization, because it's organizational transformation challenge. It's not just a different local initiative. Also, you have to manage the synergy from. It will be 12 points. Then you can take photos. It will be more convenient. Also, you have to have a synergy with operational or process excellence teams, because usually when you go to the process, you see that not the automation is what they need. They need basic process standardization or other lean or other stuff to do that the process could be effective as it is. And then after that, you could go and automate that. Also, talking from the technology side, and as the previous speaker mentioned, RPA is just the beginning. It's not the ultimate answer. It's not a silver bullet. It's just a duct tape, usually. But it's, in many cases, faster than the conventional IT solutions. And it does the job. But you have to understand that it's not the permanent solution. And in terms of the automation journey, it's the first step to take. Because after that, you then could look at other cognitive technologies and look then how you can adopt them. Also, this one is really important, manage your stakeholders all the time. Basically, that's my daily job, because you need to manage IT, finances, HR, also head of the business units, in terms of understanding what is the value of that, how we are, what is our change plan of the people whose job maybe we are automating, and also with IT, whether we are using the right solution with RPA or we have to maybe use some other conventional IT solution. So it's really if we don't manage your stakeholders well, probably you will fail at scaling, because to do a pilot is differently than to scale this program, to scale the automation. So this one is really important. Also, talking about the business units, you have to manage their expectations of what the robot will do and what the robot won't do, because the understanding of the organization of the robots after the education is still very differently, and you have to manage that well forefront, because afterwards you have to deal with a lot of stresses. Also, that's my strategy of scaling RPA. Don't go into formalities too early. For example, we are now just thinking about creating a RPA handbook, which is the standard of how we work. Yes, we have the standards of the process of PDDs, SDDs documents in RPA, of how we involve IT in all of that process, but we do not have any formal documents or stuff, because now is September, so 9 months of scaling, we changed a lot that process, and it evolved many times. So now we're just thinking about how to maybe formalize that. Yeah, and also about the technologies, we talk sometimes with and Justina, who will come here after me, that sometimes RPA is too advanced technology for the business problem to solve, because you can solve it with macros or if you're using SharePoint flows, Power Apps, or other simple and free tools. So don't remember also that. And also, RPA teams should be near business. We had a decision to make whether we create one centralized team or 2 federated teams in the organization. So we had 2 federated teams, and I'm happy of that, because when those RPA teams are more near the business, they understand more the business needs well, and they can manage the expectations also better. And about the hiring, Justina will talk about it also. It's quite hard to hire people in RPA, because there are not many. I don't know how many of you are RPA developers. I presume that some of you we have called when we hired, because we tried different things, because in half a year we had to hire, I think, about 10 people. So it was quite a challenge, but we managed. How we managed them, Justina will tell you. And we are locked our employees that nobody would hire from us. So that's all from my side, and now I will like to invite Justina.
Hello, everyone. So Gediminas told it would be quick, so not much time left for me, but I will try to summarize everything, the main ideas from my side. So before we start, I would like to introduce myself a little bit because it matters a lot. When you are talking about RPA, what would you advise? It's strongly dependent on the companies you were working before or the tools you have been using lately. So my experience is that I'm in RPA for 3 years now, hands-on, building robots. Have used 2 tools before Blue Prism, now UiPath, which is also important. I have IT-related background myself, so I had been using Python, Office, SQL, and VBA. And my hobbies is also related to IT a lot. I maintain Movement Go Tech project and also a mentor in Junior Achievement Lietuva and Beta and Byte. So this is important because I'm surrounded by IT in all of my places where I go, so I meet a lot of different people, and I would like to share the experience from my side, from the practical side. So this is my team. We have full house from May. I started to hire people from February this year. At the moment, we have saved 20 FTs, so it's now, I don't know whether it's a lot or no, it depends how you look at it. We have 30 processes automated and 60 processes in the pipeline. And this is the programs we are currently using to have our RPA solution in-house. So now I want to know a little bit more about you, just to grab the context. How much advanced are you on RPA? So please grab your cell phones. I would like to have just a short survey so that I could accordingly talk about the RPA, whether you are advanced, whether you are junior, or it will be just a quick 3 questions so get to know you better. So it's menti.com 656247, the code which needs to be used. I will ask for the main part to be visible. Yeah. So we will wait until more people are voting. Okay, we have jumped to the second question, but because the first one was, and we will get back to it, whether you are using RPA. Now I see that the question is how much license does your company own? So a majority has just a few. On the other side, even more than 30. So that's great. That's a huge number. Not sure how many of you are here, so I guess that more or less everybody has voted. So yeah, it's 2 sides. Either very a lot or little. Which software does your company use? So most of you are using Blue Prism. You have just a few. And how long does your company have RPA? So I see that some of you haven't started yet, and a lot of you are more than 2 years experience. So yeah, so thank you for your answers. Let's get back to the main slides. Okay. So yeah, so half of it auditorium are new joiners, or half very cool guys already. So I will try to adjust my sites to be, I know, relevant for everyone. So I will talk a little bit about vision, organization, governance, pipeline, delivery methodology, service model, people, and technology, because I think that those 7 pillars are the main ones which are crucial for your organization to work on with RPA. Regarding vision, what's important here, I would say that it's not only RPA, it should be considered as process automation, because usually, as Gediminas mentioned, it's macro are enough. When you're going to evaluate processes, you see that some people do not know how Outlook rules are created, and sometimes we use paper work, just papers to type some numbers afterwards. we are checking on the screen with your finger. So RPA is too advanced, and sometimes it's just quicker to launch, for example, SharePoint form. So you can save your time, your team's time, because with RPA to build the robot, sometimes it takes, I know it could take 1 week, 2 weeks, and for the macro to be created, if you have a VBA expert on board, it's way quicker. So from my side, I think what's very important to see at the RPA as a whole as a process automation, not only RPA, don't focus to just only to this side, because with that in mind, you will increase your scope, your pipeline could be consisted not only from those rule-based tasks, you can also help people by writing scripts. For example, our latest project is GDPR related. We are helping to delete surnames from AutoCAD schemes. So this is a Python and RPA mix, because you need the script to find those surnames, and it's way quicker to write the script to find those surnames, and only when robot jumps in to delete them. About KPI, what's important here, not only for your team, you need to have it. I would also advise to put KPIs or encourage business line also to have them, because by having KPIs, we are also somehow related to you more. That's not like Justina needs robot or I can automate something for you. It's business which will use that robot. So by having KPIs, we are interested in what's going on. We are questioning when you will come to our department, when we will have those robots created. So it's way more efficient, because it's both sides, which, I mean, even it's one for business line, but when you don't have that engagement from their side, that would be a huge struggle. Quality, so I would say, when everybody's saying that nobody likes manual job. Well, everybody loves manual job when it comes to possibility of being laid off. So it's always better to know that it's about quality. And once you start, when you launch your RPA Center of Excellence, it's more about hours saved for more value-added jobs. It's more about quality increase than FT saving, because you will shortly get very angry people, because we will not want to cooperate with you if you will be telling that, okay, show me how you are doing your manual job, which is boring, because, well, afterwards we will not need you. So quality is the most important thing, I would say. And also, once you come to the processes which are not so standardized, so it's even harder to make the whole process automated. It mostly would be it would be task which you release from a work on their everyday business, because there are a lot of procedures, and usually where it's not like people have only a job of 8 hours period. I mean, we sometimes go to their home with a lot of tasks to be done that day. So with a robot, you usually just release some of them. So the quality is, I would say, the most important thing, but afterwards will help to engage with a business line. Okay, technologies. Oops, sorry. Okay, organization. So Gediminas mentioned we have chosen federated model, and I would only add that what's important when choosing which organization model fit for your company needs. So it's also the computer literacy. If you have a lot of people who don't know robots, so it would be not wise to have decentralized model when RPA teams are in the business. Because, well, at first you need to educate people what it's all about, that robot is not a huge mechanical box or how it's working. At first, IT would say no for all of interactions, and accesses will be for sure sometimes banned, because we think that you will make all the IT systems crashing. So you have this in mind, how mature the whole company is in IT, in using IT and stuff like that. Governance and pipeline. What has helped us a lot, so we have organized not a few workshops when we were educating business leaders what kind of processes could be automated, what does it mean to have a robot in your team, Also, we have launched a digital lab program that we were teaching our colleagues just to know robots, to try to create some robots by themselves. And it helped a lot to get the people on board so that we could spot what kind of processes could be automated, maybe on their daily jobs. So after those workshops, we have gathered at least 100 ideas, and that at the moment we are kind of trying to keep up with all of them. 60 are still in the pipeline, haven't been reviewed. So this helped a lot and saved a lot of time because we didn't, for us, there was no need to go to the business line and ask back for those processes because they themselves provided a lot of good ideas. Also, it's it's important to prioritize things, and I would say that it's usually forgotten about return on investment. So keep in mind what's the quickest way to do it, what's the cheapest way to do it, because well, sometimes it would be better to have IT systems integrated than the robots, because robots usually it's the short-term solution, so don't forget to evaluate that. Well, again, maybe it's macros better than the robots. Don't go with the robots no matter what, because it would save time both for the team and for the business. And also, IT skills. I would strongly advise to have RPA analysts and developers with IT background, because myself, when I'm going to evaluate processes, I'm always looking from that side, okay, maybe something could be shortened, maybe we can get rid of some of the applications if I know that, for example, instead of Excel, we can have SharePoint created and with a planner inside. So there's a lot, it's way easier to have IT background especially for the ones who are evaluating the processes, because you will know how to advise the business line, maybe to shorten or even to just make efficiency. About delivery methodology, what has helped us and saved a lot of time for the life cycle when the robot idea is given for us and when the robot went live. So we have asked for the business line to make those user stories. Before, I have experience when the RPA developers were writing documents by themselves, and it took a lot of time. Now it's way quicker when you ask the business line, okay, this is the guidelines which you need to follow, which is the template which needs to be filled by you, please do it. So once we are documenting everything, we can move on to different processes. And our developers are juggling with several projects at the time. From one perspective, it would be, okay, it's sometimes multitasking, but we save a lot of time when the business line, for example, is taking some time to get the answers for us. So once we are lagging for the answers, we can move on to a different project, and it saves a lot of time. And also testing from an agile perspective with RPA. So this is perhaps the most important part, which I would say working. So testing, because before the business line sees the robot, we are thinking this somehow very differently. So the more often you show for the business what does it mean, the quicker you will get the answers, because usually we all imagine that everything goes happy path, no errors, and when you start to show them what's happening, so, oh, I haven't seen this before, I haven't thought about that, so once you test, you can get to the better solution. Service model, so what also have worked for us, so we have a special line for IT, SR robots, so once we're asking for the access or when we have problems with the servers, we have a special niche for ourselves, because at first IT didn't know what it's all about robots, so all of our tickets were missed somewhere in between. So we have agreed that we need to separate that so that the special treatment would be advised, because the SLA is crucial and it's not okay for us to wait, for example, 1 day till server would be up, because for a person, for example, Outlook is down for one person, and when Outlook is down for us, it means that all of our robots are not working. And also we are monitoring actually how the robots are working in a special additional tool, so that we, for example, this is how we can see when there's free gaps, when we can start the robot, so that we can use our licenses fully. So, well, in this point, we are very efficient. because it's only when we don't have spare parts when we just move on to buying new license. And yeah, and we are also monitoring change requests, bugs, because the more robots you have, the more requests you will get. And this is the part also I wanted to mention, about segregation of duties. Because when you have just a few robots, okay, so when business lines start to ask, okay, what was wrong, why the robot did the mistake, or stuff like that. So it's easy to answer, but once you have a lot of robots, so now we have agreed that all the answers which are related to robots are on the business side. So the people firstly go to, for example, if it's from accounting department, so to that accounting department associates, because a lot of question comes just because people do make mistakes by themselves. We don't want to admit that, and usually it's robot's fault. Okay, but there's no robot in this program, so we start to blame it no matter what. So we are saving time by asking, okay, if it's from accounting, the questions are from accounting, please go to team leader, ask, and we are getting just less and less requests because we saw that usually people are trying to blame it because it's easier to blame a robot, not to get the responsibility on their sides. And about people, so yeah, when I joined the ESA, where was our company from our Ignitus Group already had UiPath. So with my strategy of onboarding, I just saw how many people from UiPath, with UiPath experiences on LinkedIn. So I understood that I will not find all of the team experts. So I decided from that moment that we will focus not only on RPA. So my team, once I was hiring, I was asking for IT background from the very beginning. So I hired people, only one was with UiPath experience. All of the three needed to be quickly on board. And because we had IT experience, it helped a lot. Because usually when the RPA tool is solved, we say, okay, you don't need to be program, it's easy, it's drag and drop. Yes, but it's way quicker if you have IT knowledge. Because my guys, once we joined, their first task was to gain an UiPath certificate because it's free. By that moment was free, and the UiPath Academy was free. And I hope that it still is. So we managed to quickly get on board, and so that afterwards we managed to reach those results which we have now. Because before I was thinking, okay, I will hire all the masters and we will be just creating robots from the first day. But this was not the case, and it's usually forgotten to check what kind of people you have in your market. And the last thing, I see that we run out of time. So this is the technology and all the apps we are using. It's not that we buy one program and that's it. You need separate ones for reporting. You need separate ones for spotting what's wrong or right. You need separate ones to versioning. And so it's a huge pile of programs. But from a perspective of employees, it's very good because we master a lot of apps afterwards, and we are capable to solve any kind of problem. And because we run out of time, I will not show the video I had, but afterwards or anytime you can come, I have 3 videos with GDPR case, how robots reading PDF, OCR, so just come and I will show you because we don't have time. So thank you.
Thank you, Justina and Ignitus Group. And I would like to invite Audrius right away because we ran a bit out of time.
1, 2, hello, hello. How is everyone doing? I bet there's a lot of information anxiety and information overload in your brains. So I will make this short. So in terms of why we are currently here, right? So we are here because 6 months ago, we thought about how we can foster and accelerate the robotic process automation ecosystem here in Lithuania. The reason why we understand that global business shared service companies are doing some incredible work here in Lithuania, and we're really proud of them. So just a few stats here on the screen. So around 34% of our global business service centers are implementing RPA solutions. Of those, 35 are doing some more advanced stuff. And in 1 year, over 80% of more robots were deployed versus previous year. But the question was what we can do to accelerate this, what we can do to make sure that Lithuania is the epitome, what should we do that Lithuania is the hub of automation in the whole region, even in the world maybe. We have some brilliant examples here. Western Union, for example, whose Robotic Process Automation Center of Excellence is probably one of the best in the world, and we are very proud of that. So what we can actually do, and what is Lithuanian RPA ecosystem looking like now? So over the past 6 months, we worked really hard in order to make sure that we have enough talent. So a lot of people were talking today about the skill gap and that we have talent issues globally. You know, those issues are everywhere. So we made some cool partnerships. So Vilnius University had already had, before us coming in, a Blue Prism course, and we have a representative here of Vilnius University. So those people are doing some great stuff. Another is, what we did is we formed an alliance with UiPath. So Vilnius Gediminas Technical University, and we have some representatives here as well, we work together to make sure that there's going to be in 2020 a robotic process automation model, which is currently in development, and there's already a memorandum of understanding signed, and this is going to be the first academy in the Baltics which are going to be offering robotic process automation course. And you'll be welcome to join it as well. Lastly, but not the least, Code Academy. So we also work with UiPath with their other program of reskilling. It's called Workforce Readiness Program, to make sure that students and professionals can upskill and go and learn robotic process automation. And that's going to be going live in 2020 as well. So we're going to make sure that there's enough talent for companies who are planning to do robotic process automation, but they're encountering some of the challenges, you know, talent, skill gap, etc. And we're going to be working more on this to make sure that Lithuania is the hub of automation. Community is really important. So this was 6 months in the making. So we wanted, going through global business shared services, we understood one thing. Sharing the knowledge and forming community is crucial in order to make new industries happen. And we want automation industry to happen here in Lithuania. So, you know, we're going to have regular RPA, IPA meetups for the community, 1 per quarter. So you're all welcome to join, and you're going to be learning more and more about RPA. There's going to be more activities around robotic process automation, not just, you know, us speaking, but something more practical. Second, we have a selection of partners who can support companies seeking to launch RPA, IPA modules. So we have PwC here, EY, Cognizant, MetaSite, Office, Samurai as well. So we have many companies who can help you to go through the journey, consultants, etc. And lastly, which is really important, is this was just an experiment, right? We wanted to see whether governments, businesses, and education can work together in order to do something valuable to the business community. So we think we have that community here, and you're part of it, you know, and you're going to be the champions of Lithuanian automation ecosystem, and you're going to be the ones which is going to take it forward. Lastly, but not the least, one of the things we focused on as well was how we can make sure that the companies who are really lacking resources can foster and they can accelerate their RPA journey. So currently there's a few incentives through the government and European structural funds which you can use. One is called HR Plus, another is called Smart FDI. So we can cover some of the costs if you're a foreign direct investor here in Lithuania. So, but we believe that's not enough, and I'm going to speak in the next slide more around what our aspirations are. So our aspiration is really the transition from RPA into intelligent process automation. And there was a few speakers who spoke about RPA just as patch, it's just a small building block around how we can make sure that our organizations have automation capabilities in the future. So we're going to put, Invest Lithuania is going to put a lot of effort, talent, money, etc., into making sure that intelligent process automation is thriving in Lithuania. And we want to do it for a couple of reasons. One is that Lithuania is seen in the world as the automation hub for companies to come here and automate their processes. We want to ride the wave. We don't want to miss out on these opportunities. So we want to be at forefront of this evolution. The second one is the companies who are already here, they can make more out of what they have. So we want to make sure that they are going through the value chain of their organization. They're making more and more complex projects, delivering more value. And so what's the vision here? And that's my last slide. I said I'm going to be fast. So the future is, as I mentioned maybe 5 times already in the presentation, is Lithuania is the process automation hub in the region. And we really believe this can happen because we are already seeing some of the examples, as I mentioned before, of the companies doing not only robotic process automation, they're doing significantly higher level stuff. And we love that. And we want to make sure that Lithuania, as I mentioned before, has a sufficient amount of talent to satisfy the global needs for process automation skills. We want to make sure that the companies in US, in UK, in Norway, you name it, they come here to make sure they are automating their processes and they are at the forefront of the future. Second is Lithuania has a dedicated artificial intelligence process automation hub for companies to experiment. So we're currently building and iterating a model which we're going to push through the government to make sure that we're going to have one of the first of its kind artificial intelligence hub specifically to automate the processes better. Lastly, but not the least, Lithuania has dedicated financial incentives for companies aiming to implement RPA initiatives. And we really believe this can happen, and Invest Lithuania is going to put a lot of effort to do that. So with that, I thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, please come by, say hello. And lastly, I'm super excited for you to be here. Thank you for coming. So cheers.
Thank you, Audrus. So, before the coffee break, the whole idea of this meetup is to sort of build a community for the RPA. So I would like you to kind of turn around to your neighbors from one or the other side and say hello and maybe start a conversation so networking would go easier and you could learn from each other. I know that's very uncomfortable for Lithuanians. Please, 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 why no one is turning? Everyone said I'm going to be the floor boss. Yeah. And now you can go for the coffee, which is 20 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll have 2 more presentations. Hello, hello. I would like to ask you to slowly come back to your seats as we'll start our second part of the event in a couple of minutes. Hello, hello. Once again, I would like everyone to come back and take your seats as we'll start our session in a couple of minutes. So everyone, well, some seats are empty. Thank you everyone for coming back after the short break. And with no further ado, I would like to introduce Christina and Sigute from Swedbank, and they will share their use story, more from the developer side. So.
Hello, my name is Kristina Simaitita. I am an analyst in the group savings area, and I will present a little bit RPA journey and methodology which we use.
Hello everyone, I am Sigutė Digimienė. I am team manager in Baltic Banking RPA team, and I will share with you one use case, very simple one, but maybe someone will recognize your problems and your challenges, or maybe for those who are new in an RPA, will encourage you to start these first little steps. So
we can start. So everything started back in 2016 in the group lendings and payments area, where they have like very manual, big, repetitive tasks, and they wanted to get it automated. So basically, their like project management team in 1 year managed to create the first robot, and of course, during that time, banks saw the possibilities of the RPA and decided to expand it in the bank. So from 2018, Robotic Center of Excellence has been established in the Stockholm, and they're providing for us all the methodology tools to work daily with robotics. And then RPA test stream has been created here in Vilnius, and they basically take care of all our IT infrastructure, and if not they, our robots will not be working. And of course, separate RPA teams has been created in different units, such as group savings, Baltic banking, large corporations and institutions, just because that those teams would be closer to the business and better understand all the processes. So currently, we have 5 RPA teams in the Swedbank, and we are really happy that the biggest community, strongest community is here in Vilnius, and currently we have 52 robots up and running, and this number is increasing almost every week. And our robots are working in like different areas as finance, operations, risks, deposits, where, for example, robot does daily rates update on the system. Insurance, where work with the claims data entering the system. So very shortly, how that life cycle of the robot looks like. Well, it is really similar to the regular project. At first, we have opportunity identification stage, where usually business come to us with potential idea for robotics, or we go to the business, present robotics, and try to get processes from them. And then there is pre-study phase, where we'll do the detailed process assessments of the potential processes. And also in this stage, for us are really crucial to start communication with the system owners, because sometimes happen that of the accesses or some application changes, we have to like take out the project from our pipeline. And when we get all the approvals from all the stakeholders, from all the parties, we are in this design and planning stage, where sometimes we even need to standardize process that it will be suitable for the robotics, and we can go further with it. Then there is like usual stages, development, testing, and once the testing is done and business approves all the testing, we do deployment, and there we have what's called soft launch. It's depends of the process, of course. Sometimes it is for a couple of weeks, where we carefully monitor the robot, because our robots are created, developed in the test environments, and we move them to the production. So it's really sometimes happen that we need to do amendments in the system really quickly. And then there is maintenance. And very important thing here is that when we create the robot, we don't give robot for the business and that's it. No, like our RPA team, we always daily monitor robots, how it worked, and if it failed or not. And if it failed, we are the persons who analyze it and contact the business if it is needed, or speak with the developers if it needs to do something. So yes, this is how it looks like from idea to the robot. And now Sigutė will talk about use case.
Thank you, Kristina. So yes, I will elaborate more about one real case that we had at the very beginning of our RPA journey. So as Christina presented, we started with opportunity identification. We went to one of the back office teams in Central Administration Division and started collecting their processes. We listed all the processes, made high-level assessment for them, collected metrics. And yeah, one process, this is updating car information in leasing system, seemed like a good candidate for automation. It had regular volumes, and process was needed on a daily basis. Inputs were digitized. From initial documentation, internal procedures, it seems that there are clear rules how this process must be done in reality. So we took it into our pipeline and initiated automation project for all three countries. So high-level steps for this process were quite simple. We needed to collect information from data registry. According to formal procedures, we needed only 4 items to be updated in leasing system. And then we needed to play around with some data items to double check if this is the customer, the contract, and the asset. Enter these 4 items, push activation button, and inform business that process is done. Seems quite straightforward, but when we went to business, to the subject matter experts who were doing this process on a daily basis, so the reality was far from this simplicity. First thing that 3 countries had very different 3 databases where they kept all this information in from registries. So 3 different databases, 3 different data structures and details of the data. So what we needed to initiate and agree with business that they communicate with database owners, with data owners, that robots will be using this data and will access their systems, what would be the most comfortable and easy structured way to process this data for robot. Next thing, though in the procedure it was written that we need only 4 data items to complete the real action, people were collecting way more information from registry. It's not only like plate number and registration date. They marked color, type of car, number of doors, and etc. And further on, we investigated if this additional information is used in any other steps in leasing life cycle. So it seems that not. Why they were entering this information? Many answered, we were taught like this. This is historical reasons. So we cleaned up and we left for robot to proceed only these 4 items. So whenever starting any automation, the first exercise that we must do it is simplification, standardization of process, because it must be prepared and simple. When we agreed the high-level process and also we agreed on data items what must be entered to the system, then there appeared that, for example, as in Estonia, under the same data items there are many other operations. There were more than 15 operations different, like is it first registration, is it change of owner, arrested vehicle, and all these complicated operations were only in one specialist, had no documentation was existing. So it's high risk because only one person knows the procedure. So we started from the blank page, we draw all the process flows, keeping in mind that robot will be doing this task, so we needed to keep it as simple and clear as possible. And now we have win-win situation. Process is done by robot, and also business has very clear documentation of the process, just in case it will happen that someone from outside would need to do this process. Then there is very clear documentation, how this process must be done. One more thing that business was very worried and afraid when having this automation, this is the timing, whether the robot will be able to meet their requirements, because one customer buys a car, so he or she want to have it and ride it as soon as possible. So the data flow between vendor, registry and leasing must flow very quickly and efficiently. So we needed to agree very precise timing, when robot is working, when are the peaks, and it is the most important to turn robot to work. Also, we agreed the service level agreement, what is the time when we need to inform business that something is wrong, robot is not working and doing your tasks. Having this, we did the soft launch of the process, and the first results were not that good as we expected. There were quite many business exceptions, and the main exception was that data is not matching. So in many cases, as we were using different databases from registry and leasing system, robot and human sees the data differently. So we needed to create additional many rules how to map that this Mercedes-Benz is the right Mercedes-Benz, and we created a lot of additional rules, and as new models are appearing, we are adding more and more and more rules for this solution. But when having these rules in production, we were very happy with the result. The performance rate of this automated process is more than 90%, so more than 90% of cases are handled by robot, and it works very efficiently. So key lessons learned: standardification of process, simplification, and very, very clear rules. And after a while, you get automation in place. So at the moment, it's about a year when we launched these two processes. So in Estonia, you see numbers are high. Robot has registered already more than 70,000 cars. Latvia numbers are about 9,000. Yeah, unfortunately, project in Lithuania, we did not launch it because, yes, business did not manage to agree about how to collect the information from registers. So this is what is really important, and Gediminas was mentioning the same, that quite very strong relationship and good communication must be in place with IT organizations, system owners, and application owners. Only having them on board to your project, you will have better success. We are always asked about the value what automation is bringing. So yes, it brings accuracy, better time management in the team. Also, but for Latvia, we had also additional value. The car registry changed the price list drastically. So if business had this manual process, so they would need to pay 5,000 euros a month for retrieving the data. The access that robot is using is only 45 euros. So difference is huge. So sometimes additional value comes after deployment. So this is one of the examples. Maybe you will have questions.
Thank you. And now, would you have any more questions, or any questions at all? No. So Rokas, I would like to invite Rokas from Danske Bank, and he will share their story.
We'll try at least. So my name is Rokas. I'm from Danske Bank, responsible for RPA development. What we will be talking about today is mostly everything what was covered, but I would like to put some additional flavor on that because I believe some more points should be mentioned in some of the situations. In Danske Bank, at the moment, we have almost 200 robots running live in production as per today, and the savings is around 140 FTs at the moment. Presentation itself will be hopefully easy for you. Not much reading, so at least rest for the eyes, most of the listening. Let's see how I can, okay. So why we came up to RPA and why we came up to automation itself. It's not that the companies themselves thought, oh, we need to do automation to save more to get a benefit. It all comes from the customer. In the past, you all used to go to the bank to get a credit card, and then it would take you 2 weeks. You would order the car through any of the portals, and it would still take you a lot of the time, so it's time to market savings. And a customer started dictating that you always want to get everything fast, and you cannot get anything fast without eliminating what is work behind the curtains, as I call it. So every time you do something, say the paper which goes inside, someone gets the paper, needs to work on that, submit into one system, then you transfer to another system, there's a third system, there's multiple teams involved, and that then takes you long SLA. So when you want to do it faster, you obviously try to thinking about the smart ways how you can automate. And there's a lot of the solutions of that automation, and I would like to touch the point that there's RPA, and sometimes you can use APIs. So from my perspective, when we talk about RPA, RPA is a tactical solution where you pick something which is good for that time of the period, where you think, okay, how long it will take to get a robot, how long it would take to build an API, why you want to build a robot or why you want to build an API. Robot can do 1,000, 10,000, 20, 50,000 transactions per day, for example. On APIs, you can get millions. The data you transfer is as well a different thing. As well, we talk about stability, maintenance, and all that stuff I will touch base later on. How you start doing this. So firstly, it's discovery. And for me, it's very important that when you do RPA, it's not only about that you go and look into the processes, what you have in a bank. Usually what happens, okay, so we have the respiratory where we go and check, this is the processes we do, let's see what we can automate. You should not forget that there's always something new built in your companies. And when you're building something new, you should straight away involve people from IT who does the automation. So you can build something automated before even the new application is delivered. This is not the savings you get from taking saving FTs, but this is, you will not need to hire new people for that. And this is our showcase where we will present. We will talk about the North Star application, which was internally developed in a Danske Bank, so people can buy a car using our leasing system. And during the project of them, we said, okay, how we will use that, how we will build that, what is the transaction? So you go to the applications, fulfill the form, the form arrives in the bank, how many touch points we will have in how many different teams, how long it will take, and how we can measure that. What best automated solution we can use. So it's very important that the business itself, your other teams, do that together with IT. So you have two different views on an angle. So one is from the customer perspective and one is from the IT. What best automation you can adopt on that? Is the RPA is what we're looking, or is it API? Is it anything else you can build on top of that? And usually when we talk about RPA, we say it's very fast to build, I would say quite cheap, and it's quite beneficial for the time being. So this is how looks the North Star itself. When we did all of this, it took probably a month to build the robot itself. If we will be lucky, we will show you how the robot works, if technology works fine, and I will explain you what it is doing. So then you discover the process, you start doing the automation. But before doing the automation, you think, is the RPA is a good way to go? Because here we talked about a lot of the things, how it's good, why we should do it, and what is important. And so we said that the most important thing to do the RPA is to have a one process which is very well defined. And I would tend to disagree with that. It's one of the things, one of most important things. But you should think how often that process will change. If the process changes, you need to do redevelopment and invest on that once again. What infrastructure behind you are touching? So if you have one process which is touching 10 applications, and all of that 10 applications tend to change as well, you once again will need to do redevelopment. You will still be investing, and development can take, you develop, 6 months goes past, you develop once again. Is return on investment is valid? So you always think that, okay, so maybe it is a really simple process you could automate in a week. But the situation is that if that process has 100 exceptions, is it really good to automate? No, because you will always face the exceptions, business will be unhappy, and you still will need to look into that every single day. So how many exceptions we have? What are the infrastructure behind we develop on? What processes? Are we sure that this is a strategical solution and we use that process for a long time? There are multiple of those you would consider. As well, there is a thing that you need to consider that always they say, we do automation because we want to save FTs and save the money. As well, I wouldn't always agree with that. Automations help you in the cases where you need to be very careful with doing something. So obviously, automated solution will make less mistakes when a human is making. Sometimes we have processes automated, which savings are very small from perspective. But you are intent to pay more to make sure that you have it stable, you have the locks, especially for the banks who we're talking today, audit. So you have all the files, you have all information, you have all the logs, and you can see all that information. So it can be looked from different perspective. If you decide that it's a good solution, then we go to analysis and development. How we do it, we always do it together with the business. And probably the next slide is representing more. It's the only corporate slide I have today. This is how we look today. So we work in Agile, and we always asked, and the first thing when we said we will go Agile was that this has to be from both perspectives. Business and IT sits together. So you have a product owner from business, you have development for IT, and you have BAs from business. We collocate, we try to sit in one location as much as possible. We try to use the process from the start. So it's not that business comes in and says, this is what you need to automate and this is how you need to automate. We do it together. So then it's less of blaming culture, as it was said today, that, okay, it's robot fault. No, we started from start together. We build it as a one team, business and IT. This is why we don't try to do blaming culture, and we see that it's giving result. As well, it's end-to-end. So what you built in your own squad, you maintain it. So it helps to ensure that after development, you don't want to develop something and then keep fixing on that. If you will ask any of the developers who are here, they want to develop, not to be bug fixing on something, at least in my teams. Then you get a better knowledge of the domain, which is very important. So we talk about that you want people to be more advanced on building the robots, know a lot of technologies, but in big companies, I guess, you have 5,000 different applications. And sometimes it's really difficult for the new person. You not only need to know how to use the RPA, but you need to know how the application works. Does it have a database you could call? Could you use the web services? Do you always need to use the interface and all that stuff? So making sure we have aligned people who sits together, works together, knows the needs of the business, it's much, much easier. And it is probably the thing I would disagree when we said that. Most of people say we don't want robot because it's take the manual work away. I would say it's opposite. So no one wants to be sitting and clicking the same all the time, because some of the teams are big teams, like 50, 40 people. And then if your day-to-day work is just to click the buttons, copy information from one system to another, it's boring. And usually we get a lot of good feedback from the guys, and they say, now I can do something meaningful. Now I can bring a benefit for the company. Now I can use my brains to do something more interesting. When development is finished, we go to release, which is as well, you never want to release anything to production what could fail. So we do the testing, we have the reviews between the squads, so if someone is developing something, if another squad is reviewing that. As I say, better you take longer time instead of releasing something, so giving something to the person, and then they decide, oh, it doesn't work as we were expecting. Take longer time, but make sure you go first right. Maintenance. This is a really big thing as well. So when you have 10, 20, 40, it looks like, okay, we have some bugs and all, etc. When you go about the 100, over the 200s, it's completely different. You need to think how to maintain, what is the best to maintain. This is why, like, we used to have separate team who was looking into debugging, and then developers only developing. Now we went away from that because I don't see that working. Then it's a big environment. See, someone who knows what he built, see, it's a squad of 5 people, all of them knows the product, they know how we did, who did, what did, it's much easier. And as well, you want to make sure what is fixed fast. So it's not every team you ping and ask when you will fix it. You have the squad, you have a product owner in the squad, and he takes a decision. And the person is from business. So do I want to do new developments, or something which broke is most important, and I can take everyone away and give that to them so they can fix it straight away. The North Star robot demo. So then we spoke with the guys from a North Star. We were discussing, okay, why we want to do that. And it was 2 main things. In this case, we want to make sure we save the FTs. And another thing was time to market. We all know that robot can work 24/7, robot works over the weekends and all that stuff. And we will try to show the demo. If you could click on that person on the right-hand side. Okay, so on the right hand, we have a person doing the task, and here is the robot doing the task. So everyone spoke. I thought it would be good to show how it works and what is the difference between those two. They're doing completely same, only one is doing a bit faster than another. In this specific case, you will see that robot will complete one case in 27 seconds. The person is still doing, and not to wait to the video to finish, it will take 7 minutes to complete the case. And the case was done by the person who is most advanced on that. He used to do those cases quite a lot, and the end time, 7 minutes. For last 3 months, North Star will have 1,000 cases like this. And it's simple math. So 1,000 cases, 7 minutes. These 7,000 minutes, you need someone to work on that. Do you really want to hire 2 people? Clicking copy-paste. We did the counting, and these 70 times you need to copy-paste information from one field to another to make sure that one single transaction is completed. So it's a bit different. And this is why it was like you spend a month and you save 3 FTs, as an example. It's only, this one is quite simple solution, but it shows that it can connect multiple different systems. It can transfer information pretty fast, and that's why we do it. And the last but not least is probably, so why we do that automation once again? It's fast, it's cheap, it can work 24/7, it can help you to audit things, it allows you to go away from doing the mistakes manually, and that is important as well. You get faster time to deliver to business, and and at least, it's not good, but everyone still thinks about RPA that it helps to save money as you save FT. But it's not only the one thing, and I would not always bring that as the most important aspect. That's it.
Thank you, Rokas. So this was actually the last presentation we had today. But the good thing, it's not the last meetup. And first thing first, we have reserved actually a date for a second meetup that would happen on the January 19th at Danske Bank. So we'll be all looking forward to that, and we'll share all the presentations, the agenda, contacts, and everything via email after this meetup. And second thing, not less important, we have some snacks, some coffee for the networking afterwards. So you can still enjoy yourselves here, make some good connections, and if you want to get in touch with Invest Lithuania, get some more information or need some advice, you will find some one-pagers spread around here. If you want to find one, then let me know, and you will find my colleague's Lucas contacts, which is a good thing, not mine, his, and you can email him and ask your questions, and we'll make sure we would answer you and you will get all needed support. So thank you very much for coming over today, and if you need anything, as always, let us know.